That was a doorbell. Did you hear that doorbell as well?
I did not. That is
Oh,
why I'm so sorry.
ding dong!
Hello?
Christmas!
Christmas. I'm in my studio. Well, not my studio, but I'm in the studio. And look, it's Christmas here.
It's Christmas!
You wait 1 second now. If I turn this a little bit, there's a Christmas tree and everything over there.
Oh.
If you'd asked me at any point in my entire life, cats or dogs, I'd have been dogs, dogs, dogs. And a few years ago when I met my partner, he had a cat, Mimi, and we moved in together about 3 years ago. And again, I was like, oh my gosh, she's lovely. I love them. Right, they're great. I am obsessed with this cat. It is ridiculous. I just sit around the place staring at her. I have about 4,000 photos of her on my phone doing absolutely nothing. And I'm just obsessed with her. I just think she's great. We set her up a Facebook page.
I have not discovered this Facebook page yet.
I'll invite you later. I'll send you the link after.
Oh my goodness. Do you think Mimi would be up for a chit chat with me?
Oh yeah, she's not much of a talker, but you could try.
What are you doing in your studio then? What are you filming for at the minute?
We're doing, so I run a production company called DK Delight Productions, and we're doing a Christmas storytelling night or event. It's an online show because obviously lockdown and COVID and all that kind of fun stuff. So we're trying to keep the fun and keep, theatre alive. So we've gone online. So we're doing The Delight Before Christmas 2. And so it's basically a show or an evening of Christmas stories, Christmas carols, Christmas jokes, all that kind of fun stuff. So we did one a few weeks back for Halloween called A Frightful Delight. And it was all, horror stories and spooky stories and ghost stories and all that kind of thing. And it went really, really well. But that was pre-lockdown, so we were able to do a live in-person show, which was fab. It was great to be in front of an audience and stuff again. But we also did an online version. So we did both. And we learned a lot about trying to do an online event versus doing, a live in-person event and things. So this time around, we'd always planned to do a Christmas show as well. But because of circumstances and everything, we've decided to just go online and just focus on the online one. So we are filming here in the studio. Christmas. Next week. Yeah. And then the show is in 12th and 13th of December. And it's online, so you can watch it from everywhere. So you've no excuse. Everyone, buy tickets. Go now. Outsavvy.com.
The link's up there.
There, look. We'll just sit here for 2 minutes in silence while you go book.
Serenade me on your piano behind you.
Trust me now, I should just probably point out that if you tune into the Christmas show, you won't see any of that because that's appalling.
So it's a musical?
But it's not a musical, so it's basically lots of Christmas stories. So I can't really tell you what any of them are yet because it's a surprise. But we've some new ones, literally new writing that have been written specifically for the show. And then we have old classics and things as well. So there's a bit of everything. And then we have sort of old classic-y Christmas carols, and we have some very, very interesting takes on some new Christmas carols. Do you know what? It's fun. It's a bit of a laugh. It's just meant to, make you feel all nice and warm and snuggly and Christmassy. And, it's been such a sort of a poo year that we need to grab hold of whatever sort of happy, jolly joy we can actually get a hold of. And that's what we're doing it for. And it's what we did the Halloween one for. And that's the feedback we got. People were just like, I needed this, and that's the joy of theatre and the arts and everything, as you know. You know, it's needed now more than ever because, dear God, it's so miserable. We have to bring some sort of happiness and pleasantries and nice times.
Talk me through your training and your career.
Yeah, so I started. So unless the accent hasn't given it away, I am Irish. So I'm
Oh,
from.
I thought you were just really good at accent.
So now I'm from Cork, in Ireland. I've been here now for about 9 years. But I started acting when I was like 4 years old. Like I started doing drama classes and things with my brother and sisters, and I kind of stuck with it. And then I did my first like professional acting job when I was 10. I used to do the local pantos in Cork City, and it probably won't mean anything to anyone, but one of the pantos I was in was with Frank Toomey, who was, you don't know what Bosco is, but if there's anyone Irish watching, they'll know what Bosco is. And he was one of the presenters on Bosco, or Bosco's daddy, as we used to call him. And he was the nicest man ever. And he was one of the first people I worked with on that show. And that was amazing. So, and then I kind of like, I always knew that's what I wanted to do. And so I was really lucky in that respect, because all the way up through school, I knew that that's where I was going, and I knew that's where I was headed, and I knew that's what I was going to do when I left school. So when I left school, I went and studied drama and theatre studies again in Cork. And that just cemented it for me. I was absolutely besotted, and this is what I was going to do forever. You know, and I just love theatre, to be honest, and I just love performing. So for me, there was no other option, which is great because, like, especially having 3 siblings and stuff, you see a lot of how people are unsure of what they're doing and what path they're going down and how much time it takes for people to realize, you know, what they want. But like, I was very lucky in the respect that I've always known. So that was fab. But then, so I left college and having finished drama and theatre studies. And then what should I do then? So I started working with a theatre company in Ireland, and we were touring Ireland with Lovers by Brian Friel and Romeo and Juliet, which was epic. So I got to tour Ireland for a year, which was amazing. And then I moved to Dublin to pursue my career there, and did lots of shows and bits of TV and bits of films and all that kind of stuff. And then I moved to London and continued it on here, and here I am. Yeah.
Yay! And that's where you met your love.
Yes. So my fiance, Steve, who I believe, or Orla, I believe you met recently. Orla is just, you know what, a world of her own. She's crazy. I love her. But if you missed it, anyone, go back and watch. Yeah, so my partner is Steve Cheriton, who's an actor as well, but he also performs as a drag queen, and he's Orla Nothing, and it's amazing. He's so funny. But so he's involved, actually, both of them, both Steve and Orla are involved in the Christmas show. We'll sit back and wait for you to book. It's okay. We'll give you another minute there now. You right? Here, look, here.
Cheers.
Cheers.
DK Delight Productions is your company. People would hear director or music director. What's artistic director? Because obviously those other two apply to a show. Artistic director is your role in the company.
So essentially, like, I run the company, so I decide what we put on, where we put it on, how we put it on, when we put it on. And then I am solely in charge of putting it on and putting it together and casting it and rehearsing it and all that kind of stuff. So
you like responsibility?
No.
You like the control of it all?
No, I just love theatre. And
yeah.
you know, like, there's so much, like, the one huge thing, like any actor will tell you, that the biggest problem with working in this industry is you're waiting. You're constantly waiting for the next job, for the next audition, for the next thing, for the next networking thing, to meet the right person, to give you the opportunity to perform. But I was sort of bored of the waiting for other people's permission to perform. Do you know? So I wanted to start doing it and have a bit more control over it myself.
Yeah.
So I decided to set up my own theatre company, and then I could decide what we put on and what involvement I'd have. But then also DK Delight Productions, we produce all the music videos for All or Nothing. So again, check them out on Orla's YouTube channel. And I don't know if you've seen, or if anyone's seen, the Halloween one was sort of the biggest one we've done, and it turned out amazingly well. So we're delighted with that. So it's Orla's Monster Mash, the Orla Mash.
An eyelash. They did the mash. They did the Orla mash. Now everything's cool. You're all part of the band. Orla's titty to smash is the hit of the land. For you, the living, this mash was meant to. When you get to my door, tell them Boris sent you.
We will allow up to 6 people to meet outside, provided those from different households continue strictly to observe social distancing rules.
So now we have a Christmas one coming up as well, which will be part of the Delight Before Christmas, and then it'll be released as its own separate thing after that. And then we also produced a web series, which hasn't been released yet, so it's hopefully going to be out next year. But I can't say much more about that.
Because of your productions, then you say that you cast everything. So do you have any embarrassing audition stories, either when you've been on the panel or when you have been auditioning as an actor?
I find, so from both sides, so when I've been on the audition panel, like, because I know what it's like to be there and I know what it's like to be that person walking into the room, I just love everyone, do you know, honestly. And actually, for the most part, like, it's very rare that someone's going to give you a very obvious reason to say no. But on the opposite side, I went for a commercial casting a few years ago, and so casting for an ad, and they ask you to do the weirdest things, like in these auditions. And it was an ad, I can't remember what it was for, some product. And I was in a room, not too dissimilar to this. I was just stood in the middle of the room, camera in front of you, and a couple of casting people and producers or whoever they were there. And they said, right, you have to imagine that you're inside the chest of a giant robot and you're steering the robot. And then you burst through the chest, open the doors, and then you have to leap out of the chest and onto the ground and then like stand up heroically. And that was the instruction I was given while just stood there in the middle of the room. And I remember thinking in my head at the time, I was just like, what the hell? Like, we do the weirdest bloody things. I was like, what other situation could you ever be in that you'd end up doing something that crazy? So then in the middle of the room, I was just, hooray! Yeah, didn't get it.
I was just about to ask, did you get the job?
I did not. I had to be bacon in drama school once.
When?
Bacon in a frying pan. I swear, like, your career just doesn't get any better than that. Who doesn't want to be bacon?
In terms of the work that you've done, do you have a proudest moment so far?
I mean, I'm really proud of the fact that I set up my own production company. But I think, or the thing I'm proudest of in general, is just the fact that I've made a career out of this. Do you know, like, it really is something that I've been thinking about since I was a small child. Do you know, and the fact that it's opened so many doors for me and it's taken me to so many places. Like, I've lived in London, I've lived in Dublin, I've lived in Cork, obviously. I've traveled around Ireland, I've traveled around Europe, I've traveled, you know, this has taken me to doing shows in France, in Belgium, in Italy, that kind of thing. Like, and I'm proud that I just stuck with it because it's tough. Like, it really is a hard industry. Like, anyone will tell you, anyone who's been in this industry, you know, for, God, 10, 15 years now, you know, they'll tell you it is a tough, tough industry to be in. So I'm just proud that I'm still here and I'm still working and that people are still asking me to work and that, you know, I'm creating my own work. And so I think that's what I'm proudest of.
Brilliant. And so you should be. So you should be. So over the years, you would have met a hell of a lot of people in the industry. Mm-hmm. Anyone in particular that stands out, either a name that we might know or someone that you think they are going to make it because of their work ethic is just, yes.
I've met a lot of celebrities, inverted commas, just through various different things. But there was one day I was working on a festival in Dublin, and it was literary festival actually, so it was all everything, books, plays, music, all of the above. And I met Seamus Heaney, and then about 2 minutes later, not even 2 minutes, about 30 seconds later, Brian Friel arrived over, and I couldn't believe that both of them were there at the same time. You know, and like I'm so lucky that I did meet them, because they've both died since, unfortunately. But yeah, it was pretty amazing. You know, especially to meet someone. I think because we studied him in school in Ireland. I don't know if he would have studied him here, but I think for some reason you automatically assume that if you study someone in school that they're dead. But there's loads. I mean, there's a lot of people, a load of friends of mine who are working in the industry, you know, who are amazing, like absolutely phenomenal. Like a very good friend of mine, Editor Budnick, has been going from strength to strength, and she's just, I was about to out her actually. I don't think I can say the show that she's just done, but she's just done a pretty big show. She did, I think 10 episodes of Corrie last year. She was in Tunnels, she was in Byzantium, the movie. Like, she's done loads. You know, I'm so proud of her, and she works so hard and is so talented. And I'm like very lucky to have a lot of people around me who are like that.
Do you have a preference, stage or film?
Definitely stage, because I think like I love doing film and I love doing TV, but it's completely different. Like, they're two completely different mediums, and it's two completely different styles and two different outcomes and everything. But so definitely stage. I love that. I love that sort of like immediate response. Do you know, that immediate reaction you get, and that sort of, you know, the endorphins and the adrenaline rush that you get from being on stage. But there's something about, like, you go on stage and you just completely lose yourself in whoever you're playing. And you come off and it feels like it's been 2 minutes and you could have been on stage for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Do you know? Or as they say, doctor theatre as well. No matter what's wrong with you, what's going on in your head, your body, do you know, you could have a pain in your foot when you go on, when you come off, it's gone.
Yeah.
Because you've completely forgotten about you and the other person has just taken over. Do you know? And you get to be other people, which is pretty epic. You know, I don't think there's anyone in the world who has not said at one point or another, oh my God, I wish I could just get away from myself for 2 seconds. You know, and we actually get to do that, which is pretty epic. You know, not that you don't get to do that on camera and on film, but I just don't think you get lost in it as much. Because I find with filming, it's really stop-start, you know, and you don't as much get that real flow of a performance. And of course, like, being on stage, it's projecting everything outwards, and you want to give the performance to the audience. Whereas when you're filming, it's far more about holding it in and making the camera or the audience come to you to find the story.
Yeah.
You know, so it is two very different things.
Have you ever come across a moment, an appropriate moment to use the term, the show must go on?
Yes. So a few years back, I was doing Noises Off. Do you know the play Noises Off? I was doing it in Dublin. And I've never been, like, if anyone's familiar with the play Noises Off, it's a complete farce. It's nuts. Like, everything that can go wrong will go wrong in the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please take your seats? The curtain will rise in 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please take your seats? The performance is about to begin!
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please take your seats? The curtain will rise at any moment.
During the rehearsals of that, one of the guys playing, was it Roger, had a heart attack during rehearsals, and obviously he could not be in the show anymore. He was all right, he was fine, he survived it, but he couldn't be in the show anymore. So that was fine. So he got recast. And then about a week later, and it was only a few days before opening night, the man playing Selsdon, who is the older robber in the show, if anyone's familiar with the show, a lot of it involves a staircase. And when we were in rehearsals, we had the staircase, but they went nowhere because we didn't have the rest of the set until we moved into the theatre. So it was a staircase that just you went up and then there was just a drop down the other side. And so we just walked back down. For reasons only known to himself, this actor went up. So this man, who's about 70, I'd say, went up the staircase and decided to jump off. It wasn't a really high staircase. It was maybe 7 steps. And he jumped off the other side and broke both his legs in the rehearsal. It was horrible. I know we're laughing about it now, but it really was horrible. So in the space of 1 week, we had one actor who had to drop out because he had a heart attack and broke both his legs, all during the rehearsal period for Noises Off. That was a really
It's
bad
not
choice
funny
of
at all,
words.
but I didn't think that's what you were gonna say. Oh, I'm just imagining, like, you know, when you like we were saying, when you feel in the moment and you've become that character and you just like let the show take you, and he's like, yep, these stairs will go somewhere because in my head they do.
It was so calm and so chilled. And honestly, unless you knew what was happening, you would have had no idea that something was wrong. Like, he jumped, there was no noise, there was no cracks or anything, and he just sort of slowly fell to the ground and was like, oh, I can't get up. And that was sort of it. And he wasn't screaming, he wasn't shouting, he wasn't crying, he wasn't writhing around the floor in pain. He was very dignified way of breaking both your legs.
Wow. I mean,
Oh, bless him.
absolutely. Hats off to him.
Casts off. But the show did go on, thankfully. And yeah, it went very well. And he came along to see it a couple of weeks later. Bless him.
Okay, dream role to play.
Absolutely love to do like a comedy sitcom. I'm putting it out there. Put me in a sitcom. Put me in a TV show.
Do you have a favourite theatre to perform in?
So there's a theatre in Cork. It's called the Everyman Palace Theatre. And it's like one of those old, ornate theatres built in like the early 1900s. That's all red and gold. And I've been very lucky that I've done quite a few shows there over the years. I haven't performed there now in a long time, since I moved from Cork, actually. But I love it. Like, it's just stunning, and it really has that sort of old theatre glamour. Do you know the one good thing that I will say, like, I mean, it's hard to find a positive in this whole situation, but the one good thing, it slowed us all down. It made us stop. Do you know? And the one thing I'll say, and I was saying it to Steve the other day, that I don't want things to go back to the way they were. It was mental. You know, you never had a moment, you didn't have a moment to think. You just kept reacting and doing and going and just continuing, whether you wanted to be doing those things or not, you know, because everything was so fast paced and everything was so rat race, especially in London, as you know. It's just been crazy. So hopefully people have been able to take a little bit of a step back during this whole thing and reevaluate that that's no way for anyone to be living.
And this is the only reason that I've managed to start this up, is because actors aren't in their fast-paced, quick. No one would have the time of day for me. You know, I remember in my old job, I used to get so stressed, and I used to take it home, and I used to cry all the time about work. I was just in mannequins. I wasn't curing cancer or saving lives. Curing COVID. Should have been doing that. And then when I had my daughter, I vowed that I would never get stressed about work again, because there are so many more things that are more valuable to us.
It's not worth it, is it? Like, when you think about what you're actually getting stressed over.
Do you have any advice for budding actors or people that want to go into the industry?
Don't do it. Don't do it. But actually, no, to be fair now, honestly, I would say train. And then when you feel ready, go for it and give it your all. But if you feel like there's anything else in the world that could bring you that much joy and that much happiness, go do that thing. Because it's a hard industry. Like, it really is a hard industry, and you need to want it and you need to love doing it, because otherwise it's not worth doing. Rob a bank.
Don't rob a bank. Oh, it's been so nice to meet you.
It's been lovely. Yes. I know, I'm so excited. We'll have to meet in person now once all this is over.
Yeah. Cup of tea with you, Steve, and Mimi.
Yes, and Orla.
And Orla.
We can have a special with all three of us.
Right, people, if we want to have a special with Derek, Steve, and Orla, comment below. We'll make it happen. Thank you so much, Derek. I will love you and leave you and let you get on to your studio, setting up for your filming.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. It's been absolutely lovely, and thanks for asking me to come on.
Thank you for coming and sharing your evening with me.
Thanks a million. Bye.
Cheers.
No, cheers.
Cheers.
Clink. Merry Christmas.